Greetings. This is Arvette McLean with Speak, the Universe Listens. New ways to view age-old challenges. Change your thoughts, change your life. Step into the bigness of you. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how to be a match to your desires. And so I know a lot of times we say we get more of who we're being, not more of what we want. And that we need to be a vibrational match to whatever it is. So what are some ways that you all can think of, or some of your favorite ways that you become a vibrational match, or that you are being what it is that you want?
Well, for me, I would say my biggest thing would be just, like we talk about it before numerous of times, but just being, even though I may not physically have it or it may not be there, but if I'm just being it, then it has no choice but to transpire for me. So for me, I just pretend as though I already have, and then the universe just flows and flows for me, and I just receive pretty much.
For me, like if I'm wanting abundance in my life, I would just start feeling abundant. And what I mean is, like, for me, that looks like just feeling good and being in gratitude for everything, and just recognizing the things around me that are abundant. I know a lot of times I'd be driving and I'd be like, I don't want to feel abundance, or whatever. And I might just look and see it's a bunch of trees, or I might just look and see it's a bunch of grass or a bunch of road, anything that feels like it's abundant or it's endless.
Mm-hmm. For me, it's kind of very similar to what both of them said. As like I try and do things that's going to create the same emotion that I want. Like, so I guess a good example is that I actually just started recently. Like, all right, so we had the conversation the other day, and I was like, yeah, whenever it's gloomy out, I'm just low. And I was like, yeah, but I don't have to be that after our conversation. So I was like, well, let me try and manufacture like a good feeling at all times. So now I have like a certain air freshener in my car, and I have a certain playlist that I play, so that way every time I get in the car, it's an enjoyable ride, and I'm getting that happy feeling. So it's like that's how I match to what I desire. I create it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the main thing is the focus. Like wherever your focus is, what do they say? Where your focus goes,
energy flows.
Energy flows. Right. So whatever we focus on, but I think so often we'll say, I want this, mm-hmm. But then we giving our attention to everything else, and I'm so guilty for that in one area in particular, or whatever. But to be able to focus, to narrow our focus into what it is. And I don't even really want to say, I want to get away from saying the things that we want, mm-hmm. because that says that we don't have it. Mm-hmm. But the things that we want to show up in the physical, I would say, the things that we want to bring into physical existence. But to put our focus on it.
It's funny when you talk about focus, because I can ask my girlfriend, okay, what do you want to eat? And she'll say, well, I know I don't want this and I don't want that. And I'm like, I didn't ask you what you didn't want. I'm asking you, what do you want? And so it just makes me think of like, we put our focus so much on everything we don't want, and that adds so much resistance to what we do want to show up in our life. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I do want to be abundant or financially abundant, but all I'm focused on is, man, that bill coming next week and I'm broke. I don't know how, and that's what my focus is on, instead of okay, well, I want to be abundant. Let me just be abundant and feel abundance. So yeah.
Speaking of bills and money, my whole thing that I've gotten a lot better with, right? I used to think like, man, I got to pay this bill and I got to spend this much money. And don't get me wrong, I still don't like to spend money, but I got myself more in the space of, I look at it like what I have a gratitude of, I have enough money to sit back and pay my bills, and I have enough money to sit back and be able to do the things that I said that I wanted to do before. So when I think about it like that, it's like, you know what, to get me out of that mindset of like, dang, okay, I'm coming from lack to like I have, you know.
And I'ma just kind of pick on you a little bit, because we are so, what you just did, we do that all the time. And so Stephen said, he's talking about, I'm moving into a space of abundance or moving out of lack. But he said, don't get me wrong, I still don't want to spend money. So if you don't want to spend money, then you don't want to be abundant, right? You don't want to be financially abundant. So basically, you want to spend money because you want to buy whatever you want to buy, right? So it's kind of like it's these little flips that we can catch ourselves in, and just kind of flip it. It's certain things that we're so used to being in the feeling of that, and like a lot of times people will try to say what I just say, like they'll mirror back to me what I said. And they'll have it like 90%. Like you got it 90%, but it's that little piece that we're not hearing, or we're not, that's not clicking,
and
or whatever. And it's
feeling.
Right.
Yeah.
But what are some other ways we can focus our attention? Are there some tools that you guys have used that you've been successful with?
I would say getting rid of the distractions. And for distractions, it could be something different for everybody. So for me, my distraction was lack of focus. I'll start one thing, then I'll go to another, then I would never finish one thing. So it's like, all right, since I know that and I'm aware of it, let me start on this. I'm gonna finish this, and then after I finish that, then I get started on this. And so by me doing that, just sort of eliminating distractions and focusing on that one particular thing, it helps me out a lot.
I think for me is visualizing, because if I can get into a space where I'm seeing everything that I want to show up in my life, and I get in that visualization to where I'm feeling these things, then I feel like that works the best for me. And
I would say for me, two things have really helped me. One, of course, writing out true desires, because the action of the hand moving and then reading it on the paper, I don't like to write, but they say it does something, and every time I do it, it be seeming to work. So that's one. But two, I also I make things a game for myself in my head. So it's like if I'm having a hard time, like, okay, I need a perfect example. All right, I want to go buy something, but I don't want to spend the money. I will make it a game to like outthink myself on all the different ways that I might be able to get it without spending money. So that way I know that the money is never even the part that I'm concerned about. Or I also go, well, maybe I don't want to spend it on that because I want to do this, this, and this. So it's like I make everything like a little challenging game to myself, and it kind of helps me remove the barrier of, well, I don't have enough, because I just thought of 10 other ways to get enough. So that's always worked for me too.
Yeah, I do a lot of stuff, use a lot of different tools. But I did want to speak on the visualization, because a lot of times people will say, well, I visualize and ain't nothing happen. But a lot of times when people are visualizing, they're seeing it in their head, but they're not feeling it.
Right.
And so to be on the same vibration, you have to feel the thing. Like it's real, like it's happening right now. So when you're visualizing, like I'll kind of go to this little, I feel like I'm in this dream, this like beautiful, dreamy place, and I'll go there, and it just, it's like, it just feels so good to be in this place. But like to allow yourself to get caught up in the vision and like really feel it, and you start vibrating like it. And like when I was a kid, and that's actually I still do this, but one of the things I used to do a lot, like if I would misplace something, so let's just say I can't find my brush, then I'd be like, if I was my brush, where would I be? And so I literally would become my brush, and then I would go straight to where my brush is. And so like now I'm a lot more organized, so I don't really lose stuff. But when I do misplace stuff, I'll be like, okay, if I was my key, where would I be? And then I kind of put myself into the key. So I don't know if that makes sense, but it doesn't have to make sense. Like you can just try things. Like you can put yourself into the thing that you want to be, and that will allow you to vibrate like that thing.
What you just said, that's something that I've been doing over the years. Just always trying something different, even what you said, right? Like visualization and believing it, writing things down. So I tried everything and then just found that thing that works for me, and I know I can stick to it. It feels good for me. That sort of brought a more success for me.
And I think just back on the piggyback off of feeling it, I think when you are feeling it, you also believe in it. And so that brings me always to walk by faith and not by sight, because if I'm believing it, then I have faith it's going to happen, and I don't have to look into what's physically in front of me and be like, okay, well I don't see it or whatever, but I'm feeling it and I'm believing it when I visualize, and it can show up in my life.
And like that's an example of, he got like 99% of that correct. But it was like one little tweak, and the tweak, did any of you hear the tweak? Just out of okay, so the tweak to that is, he said he's feeling it, he's believing it, and then it can show up in his life. But the little tweak to that is, if you're sitting right here beside me, I'm not believing that you're sitting here beside me. I know that you're sitting here beside me. And so a lot of times we do say, see it and believe it. But once we start knowing that we are already it right now, we already have it right now. It's already here. And so when you go into that feeling place, or that you're visualizing and you're feeling and you're on the same vibration with it, you are just bringing it into physical where you can touch it. But the thing is, when you're in that place, that really you need to, if you can get to a place where that's all you need is to feel it, that's what's going to cause it to come onto the physical plane. So it's like you're not in the space of wanting, you're enjoying it now. You're enjoying it right now. So you no longer want it because it's here. And you're experiencing it in a different plane. But as you experience, the more you experience it in this other plane, it has no choice but to then show itself on this plane.
Yeah, and another thing that I do too, that because you asked about tools, I think another tool that I realize that I do is talk about the things a lot more too. And I feel like I said this before, but the more I talk about it, the more that feeling radiates all through me. And it's like it no longer feels like the biggest secret I'm keeping to myself. Like the more I share it out, the more I feel like I'm that, honestly. Not even getting close to that. I feel like I'm that. So like the more I say, yeah, man, I'm about to go on vacation. About to go on vacation soon, man. I'm thinking about it, man. Hitting them islands soon. Like, I share it out because the minute you hear it, you also see it for me. And then the minute you hear it, you also see it for me. And then I'm also seeing it for me. Now we all seeing me on this vacation. So let's get me on this vacation.
But what about the people that's like, man, he ain't going nowhere?
Yeah.
I don't hear people because I only hear the things that are a reflection of me.
Right.
So if you talking about, oh, you ain't going on that vacation, I never hear that because all I hear is, yo, I'm about to hit this vacation soon.
But you talked about writing. I have done that a lot in terms of just writing stuff down, whether I'm writing a gratitude letter, whether I'm doing a focus wheel, whether I'm like I'll write a list of 100, like a list of 100 reasons why I know blank, and I'll just do that every single day or whatever. Yeah, but there's so many tools that you can use to focus your energy. And of course you hear a lot of people talk about meditation, and I used to be like, well, how is meditation? What does that do? Yeah. And I'm not good at like the traditional meditation. Like I
can't sit still.
Yeah, and I don't want to say can't, but it's like it's been a challenge for me, and so I gave it up. Like I don't try to do it. I do like walking meditations and stuff like that. But as far as just sitting and like I don't do that, but I do understand now the value in it, which is giving your mind a chance to just be quiet, just be still. And so like most of the times it's always, static. It's always something going on. And the crazy thing about it, they say most of your thoughts are the same thoughts over and over and over again, but yet your mind is just like just talk. But when you meditate, it gives it a chance to be still. And so spaciousness is a great tool for focusing. And so the way I do spaciousness, I've done it two different ways. So one way that I do it is literally when you guys have heard me talk about shooting my energy up and out. And so when I shoot, like I literally will envision myself making my energy taller than the tallest trees. And I have the image in my head of the redwood trees. And so I shoot my energy way, way, way up, and I shoot it out. And then I stand in that space, and in that space, it's like I'm like so high above everything, and it's just this beautiful space with just other spirits as well. And then I'm just shining bright, and I choose my color to be, it's like a kind of like an aqua, an aqua green, color. Yeah, like, and like I'm that color, and I'm just the brightest of that color, as brighter than the brightest sun. And I'm just shining, and just holding that, it drops the resistance to whatever negative chatter I could be having. Like, that's not for me. I'm not worthy. People like me don't get those things. Like, whatever the negative chatter is quiet when I'm in this space where I'm shooting my energy up and out and just shining. So that's one way to create spaciousness for yourself.
I like solitude. Solitude for me is one of those things. At first I didn't know how to be alone and just sort of clear my mind, but I learned, like, for me, just being by myself and being comfortable with being by myself, it was like, okay, put me in a good space.
Well, I say two. So the other one that I've done, another technique that I've done is like, you know, of course, center myself or whatever. But then I will see myself as just a dot. So I'll lose my body, my thoughts, all of that. I'm just a dot. And I see this dot in space, and then I'll just allow the dot to just go as high up in any direction. I just let that dot just go, and I just allow that dot to be me. And it's like this, I can't even explain the feeling of it, but when I'm doing that, again, it's like my normal thought stops, all resistance stops, and it allows whatever things that I've been wanting, I guess, to really come to the surface, because it's been explained by many gurus that everything that we want is already waiting, it wants to come, but we push it down with all of our resistant thoughts. And so the minute we let go of the resistant thoughts, those things will rise to the surface. So any other tools that you guys have used? So we've talked about writing, visualizing, solitude, meditation, spaciousness. Yeah, anything else y'all want to add? And of course, just raising your vibration. Rodney liked to talk about gratitude. I like to talk about appreciation. Teron, what you just mentioned? Talking about it, period. And another thing that I do that's similar to talking about it is I read about it. I just read about it and read about it and watch videos about it, and you know, to where it's like the back of my hand.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank y'all. And thank y'all for joining us as well. And we look forward to chatting with you again next week. So until then, this is Arvette.
This is Steven.
Rodney.
Bye.